very good evening to you, our dear viewer. Thank you so much for allowing us into your space. This is News Tonight at 8. My name is Patricia Lukoma. Magalu Mohammed is with us already there on sign language. Now, as we start off with the bulletin, the Vice President, Major Retired Jessica Alupo, has this morning flagged off a high-powered delegation under the Busoga Development Consortium to China. The delegation is led by the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, the first Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for East African Affairs, and His Royal Highness the Chabazinga of Busoga, William Gabula. The team is expected to depart on July 3rd to 6th July for China to establish cooperation between Busoga Consortium for Development and liaising with China. While flagging off the team at her offices in Kampala, Vice President Alupo asked the delegation to use this cooperation to further contribute to the improvement of the national trade volumes, to close up the China-Uganda trade deficit gap for more balanced bilateral trade exchange.
It is a testament of the power of working together, strategic networking, and consistent good management at the Busoga Consortium for Development. It is also a testament of the NRM government's good working relationship with the global world. I am therefore glad to preside over the flagging of the Uganda Busoga high-powered delegation to China for the establishment of cooperation with Liaoning province and maybe any other provinces if the occasion demands. As you embark on the strategic journey of enhancing the glory of Busoga and Uganda at large at the international level and contributing to enhancing the China-Uganda friendship, and while growing our relationship and friendship to the people and government of China, I request that we focus on the following: bilateral trade and investment. Busoga and Uganda at large must therefore aim at building capacity to offer products to the China-Uganda trade exchange so as to make the cooperation beneficial to all our people. Our people must be continuously guided on the need for maintenance of adequate quantities, standards, quality, and sustainability in production and productivity so as to meet the international market demands. I would like the Busoga Consortium also to look in the direction of returning that Jinja as a high industrial city which used to shine as a top industrial city nationally. And fortunately, it is in Busoga sub-region where we are now drawing our attention as through the Busoga Consortium for Development. Apparently, for us, we can combine both. The source of the Nile is in Busoga. There can never be any other source of the Nile again in the world. It is in one and it is in Busoga. So we can combine tourism, we can combine industry because of our terrain and our climate, which is conducive 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 12 months a year for tourists to come in and go on. Lastly, I wish to acknowledge and appreciate the role of His Excellency Zhang Lingzong, the Chinese ambassador to Uganda. And I also wish to acknowledge the commitment and support of the Goodwill Ambassador, Mr. than how. The Ministry of Local Government is in total support of the Busoga Consortium for Development. I now have the pleasure to flag off the Uganda-Busoga delegation to China, led by the First Deputy Prime Minister and patron of the Busoga Consortium, Right Honorable Rebecca Alitwana Kadaga, and His Royal Highness William Gabula IV, the Bazinga of Busoga. And I have said this for God and God.
Now, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development has highlighted on the controversy surrounding the Returned Appropriation Bill 2024. The Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury, Ramadan Govi, says revising the 750 billion reallocated by Parliament will save the gap for a necessary supplementary in the forthcoming financial year 2024-2025.
The controversy over who has the final say on the national budget has been explained by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development.
Honorable Kasaija Matia plays a delegated function. Now the President and the Cabinet, they sit and approve a budget and they give it to Honorable Matia to take it to Parliament, present it for appropriation. It is Parliament with the ultimate power to appropriate.
The budget for financial year 2024-2025 is still a food for thought after President Yoweri Museveni declined to sign the Appropriation Bill 2024.
They are not asking for rubber stamping, that Parliament should rubber stamp. No. It's about concurrence. And I think that's the debate which they will have next week.
As explained by the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury, Ramadan Gobi, Parliament has to refer back the budget to the Minister of Finance in case of any dissatisfaction relating to the government obligations. In the case of the returned budget, Parliament shifted allocations of funds to the tune of 750 billion, contrary to the priority allocations by government. Gobi says such a scenario, if not well handled, may pave way to unnecessary supplementary budgets and thus justify the President's reasons to decline to sign the supply bill.
Beginning next week, government must pay certain obligations, including debt. So if certain money moved, I must now go back to Parliament with a supplementary to ask them to get me money to those areas.
Dr. Fred Muhumuza, a senior economist, has a second pair of eyes on the budget dilemma.
More so when the President has just said, I have found a lot of connivance that has been happening between Parliament, between officials in the Ministry of Finance, between technical people in Parliament, and we've also seen the police investigation that is going on. So one wonders, could this be the reason? And of course now Parliament is coming back from recess.
It is the first time the President returns the appropriation bill for scrutiny, which move caught Parliament by storm, as MPs will have to break off from the long recess to reconsider the concerns of the President.
Quite often we've also had an experience where Parliament used to go beyond its power and begin to cut resources and allocate them. That's not a power of Parliament. Parliament is guidance and appropriation, not allocation. Allocation is executive. So if Parliament thinks money is too much here, we think it should be there, they should send that signal to the executive.
The national budget for financial year 2024-2025 amounts to 72.136 trillion, where a corrigendum was presented in the last hour during the budget process. PSST Ramadan Gobi assures the public that government is fighting abusive additional funding, especially agencies which hide budgets for critical areas, targeting supplementary budgets in the near future.
And like I've been telling you again and again, I became now the prefect, the monitor of supplementaries. In my office, I keep them. I arrest. The other year, I had a very huge heap, but I want to tell you, government has responded now. The heap reduced a bit this year. of requests for supplementary, because they have realized this fellow who is supposed to approve them is refusing them.
Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
Now, the Bishop of Kabale Diocese, Right Reverend Callistus Rubaramira, has urged members of Parliament to invest more in mindset change, especially on the rural population, in order to transform their livelihood. The Bishop was leading Mass at Parliament, where members of Parliament also contributed towards the growth of the new St. Ignatius University in Kabale, constructing a new library.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us. The poverty level that we are now, if we don't multiply our revenue by more than twice, we will be sinking further into poverty. So let us team up together and see what we can continue to do to transform society into a better, that they can have a better life and they can enjoy life better.
The library has two aspects. The first aspect is the Smart Learning Resource Center to facilitate e-learning, including a digital library, a smart conference center, and a digital studio. Now, substantively, I am the minister in charge of digital transformation in this country. I will send a technical team to the university to assess the needs and then see how we can either partner or be in support, or I use my vantage position to lobby and mobilize for some of these digital services, because the future is digital. And I usually tell my audiences, I am the minister in charge of the future. So I am happy that we are going digital. So I pledge I will send a technical team, but also maybe in July I might come myself to the university and we do an assessment, because we are starting to extend the national backbone infrastructure to cover the rest of the country. I would want to see the kind of digital infrastructure that you have, and then we see how we can continue to support you.
Minister for Land, Housing and Urban Development Judith Nabakova, together with the Minister for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees Hilary Onek, have commissioned road construction projects in Lamwa district, as well as handing over the land titles and motorcycles.
This 2.5-kilometer road stretching from Palabeki to Lamu Town Council is among those facilities which have been commissioned by Lands Minister Judith Nabakova during her visit to northern Uganda.
Allow me to appreciate the people who offered this land.
If you want money, why don't you do business? You don't mix the two. Don't do government job at the same time. Using it as a business.
In company of Minister for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees Hilary Onek, Nabakova commissioned Lamu Resource Center and Lagot Opok Palabek Central Market, all constructed under the USMID project.
We pray that whatever has been put in place by government will be maintained, because projects come and go. USMID is ending on 30th June, but you have a sustainability plan for maintaining what has been put in place by government.
The handover of motorcycles to local leaders is one of the moments which lit up the day. The handover ceremony of freehold land certificate to over 500 beneficiaries climaxed the day's event.
The titles we are getting, they are freehold titles. And freehold titles as refugee host communities. It means that you are holding that land in perpetuity forever. It is your title. You are beginning a generation of land owners, people who have titles forever and ever.
According to the minister, with the available resources and facilities, Lamu communities have nothing to complain about.
Because these are 50 stalls. You expected more than this. What happened? We need to find out what happened if you expected more. And this is what we are seeing.
The 518 freehold land titles have been secured under the Systematic Land Adjudication and Certification (SLAC), whereas the Road, Market and Resource Center are all World Bank-led project under USMID. Sada Mubale, Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Now, the network of public interest lawyers says there has been increased cases of brutally human rights violations over years of elections due to alleged involvement of the army. The remarks were made during an engagement of the network of public interest lawyers with security agencies in Kampala.
And they couldn't allow access either in or out.
In the lead-up to the 2026 elections, activists from the network of public interest lawyers have engaged with various security agencies to develop a roadmap for conducting peaceful elections. Speaking at an engagement in Kampala, James Nkubi, the executive director of Network of Public Interest Lawyers, stated that the main objective is to create a platform for discussing the role security agencies played in previous general elections and how civilian oversight of security can be promoted.
To document and discuss lessons learned from the 2021 elections as far as civilian oversight of security agencies is concerned, and how this could be enhanced as Uganda prepares for the 2026 elections.
Nkubi emphasized that activists believe civilian matters during elections should be handled by civilians, not through a military takeover of police duties.
Although the country has laws and formal institutions, on many occasions these are shoved aside and the power of the gun reigns supreme.
Deputy Defense Public Relations Officer, UPDF, Colonel Deo Akiki, noted that security teams normally coordinate with the Electoral Commission during elections. He mentioned that they are already in the process of engaging experts to train those involved in the electoral process.
We encourage that this discussion continues, this discourse should continue, so that we are all sensitized about the elections, about election security, electoral security. It's very important for our soldiers to know, for the people to know our roles, for our soldiers to know our roles, for the security agencies to know what are the roles the security agencies are supposed to play to have a free and fair elections, an election that is free of any security hiccups.
Electoral Commission Commissioner Stephen Tashobia highlighted the collaboration between the EC and security agencies.
Security is a very important component of a successful election. In other words, you can't have elections without security.
Tashobia added that elections are conducted in accordance with the law and that security must be deployed to ensure free and fair elections.
I'm into conflict with some of us because, as a commission, because we insist that all of us must be subject to the provisions of the law. Even the commission, the chairman of the commission, the candidate, the voter, we must all comply with what the laws provide. So the conflict normally comes in when somebody wants to digress, to overrun, to override the provisions of the law.
According to the network of public interest lawyers, the country's history is characterized by political turmoil, human rights violations, and significant rule of law deficits. Marion Awori and Justin Nakami for UBC.
Well, thank you very much there, Marion Awori. Now, Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Betty Amonge, has revealed that government will launch 5 banks under the Growth Project. These banks will provide women entrepreneurs with financial loans at relatively low interest rates to help them grow their businesses.
Micro, small and medium enterprises play a significant role in the country's economic growth, contributing immensely to its overall industrial development. In Uganda, micro, small and medium enterprises have been instrumental in boosting financial inclusion for women by empowering young female entrepreneurs and promoting equal access to finance and markets. Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, Betty Amongi, emphasized the government's commitment to supporting these women to help them grow their businesses.
Under the GROW, which is our project in Ministry of Gender, which is supporting women entrepreneurs, we are going to be supporting women to grow their businesses, to expand their businesses, and to do that, women will have access to cheap loans. We are going very soon to launch a loan which is not beyond 10% per annum. In the next 2 weeks, we will be announcing the banks that will be providing. We have already paid services for certification for women businesses with UNBS, for registration of companies, to support formalization of businesses with URSB. We have partnered with NADS, with Dairy Corporation, with the Export Promotion Board, all those to support women.
She commended Ugandan youth for their innovative ventures, which are holistically driving businesses forward.
But you see that how youth are innovative. You go to TikTok, you go to Instagram, they are selling all sorts of things. But they are not traveling to pick them. They are going, you can see how people use their brain, how young people are using innovation. And by the way, in the next 5 to 10 years, I don't think you're going to find people who will now be going so much into going to look for these things. People are now online. And Ugandan youth have taken it, and they are moving, and me, I'm so impressed.
The head of cooperation at the European Union delegation to Uganda highlighted the EU's commitment to supporting Ugandan micro, small and medium enterprises.
Standards that need to be met. So we are working with the Ministry of Agriculture. We are launching a new program, 8 million euros with Ministry of Agriculture to try to make Ugandan agricultural and especially horticultural products more qualified for European exports, because today we see that a lot of these products cannot enter the markets and there's huge potential.
It was noted that despite the numerous challenges therein, various women entrepreneurs have engaged in vibrant networking and collaboration activities to boost entrepreneurship and build resilient supply chains. Mary Namkose, UBC News.
Now, as we look at what's happening with World Bank, Uganda has registered notable progress in the Universal Health Coverage Index between 2000 and 2021, with the weakest link being the health service delivery capacity. This is according to the World Bank report titled Linking Public Spending on Health to Human Capital Development.
Over the past 2 decades, Uganda has made significant progress towards the attainment of universal health coverage. The UHC Service Coverage Index score for Uganda increased from 22 in 2000 to 49 in 2021, which implies that investment in the health sector is bearing fruit. The World Bank, a major funder to the health sector, emphasizes the importance of investing more in health for human capital development and for the sustainable growth of the nation.
So, this topic, we've explored it in a very interesting discussion today. Health, most people don't see it really as being essential for the economy, but I think today it's come through much more clearly what needs to be done there on both sides, avoiding people falling into poverty, but also making sure that they have grown and been healthy enough to be able to contribute to the economy.
This was at the release of the 23rd Uganda Economic Update, whose half-year release focused on public health spending on health. The report notes that demographic pressures, changing disease burden, and prevalent public health emergencies are increasingly putting pressure on the health systems in Uganda. Top 10 causes of deaths in health facility increasingly due to non-communicable diseases.
Right now, somebody comes into your house as a patient is actually representing about 15 other patients in themselves because of different forms of complications packed in one person. So health workers are no longer able to deal with huge numbers of patients, especially with our growing population, if we do not cover the gap of the health workforce requirement.
Many of the NECDs, of course, is a lifestyle issue. We really needed to see how to appeal to the people who are going through school, the corporates, the way we feed, the way we celebrate. Some of these things, we can actually reduce them markedly.
Experts argue that over-reliance on external financing and regressive out-of-pocket expenditure makes the health financing system exposed to uncertainties and risks. As Uganda ages closer to becoming an upper-middle income economy, external financing is expected to significantly drop, leaving the country between a rock and a hard place.
So we are relying heavily on our partners in terms of infrastructure, equipment, medicines. It would be actually a shock if now Global Fund or Gavi says in the next 2 years we are not able to support you, we would get more problems and lose all these outcome indicators we have registered.
The country needs to progressively start taking up that gap that is going to be created. I know some countries actually failed to immunize their children when abruptly Gavi funds and so on were dropped. So also from experience, countries that spend more of their own domestic resources actually have faster progress towards universal health coverage index.
According to the World Bank, public health spending challenges are reflected in health workforce shortages, maldistribution, and low productivity. Dennis Igoa and Charity Maureen for UBC News.
Now, officials from the National Drugs Authority have closed 112 drug shops in northern Uganda in a targeted operation on non-compliant operators. 180 boxes of assorted medicines were also impounded.
Drugs worth over 45 million shillings have been impounded in northern Uganda in a targeted operation conducted by officials from the National Drugs Authority. At least 112 drug shops were closed in the same operation.
This enforcement has been carried out in both Choli and Lango sub-regions. All operators currently operating without licenses are hereby directed to stop their operations until they fulfill all the licensing requirements.
A box containing government drugs allegedly stolen from a health center in Kwale district was impounded in a drug shop in Aleptong district.
There is a health worker in Kwale Health Center who has been ferrying those drugs from that health center and taking them to her private facility. We have the name, we have the contact of the person, and we are conducting additional investigations into the matter, and we shall go to the very conclusive end of that matter.
NDA, however, warns the public from seeking clinical services from the drug shops.
If these patients were not visiting drug shops to receive clinical services, examining them, administering injections to them, then these drug shops would not have clients to serve, and they would automatically stop this practice. So these practices of clinical services that are offered in drug shops are in one way or the other promoted by the public.
Meanwhile, at Malaba border, NDA impounded buses with the smuggled drugs.
Specifically at the borders of Busia and Malaba, and was designed to target the smuggling of drugs into Uganda. This operation led to the apprehension through inspection of 7 buses at these 2 border points, which were found to be carrying illegally imported drugs, including 8 boxes of assorted medicines, as well as 1 box of assorted anti-cancer medicines.
NDA, however, informs those whose drugs were impounded for non-compliance to visit the regional offices for guidance. The public is also encouraged to report any drug-related bad practices to the authority for action. Edi Olua, UBC News.
The Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, is wholly owned by the government of Uganda and was established to safeguard and promote Uganda's commercial interests in the petroleum sector. UNOC has two subsidiaries, the Uganda Refinery Holding Company, URHC, which will hold a 40% stake in the 60,000 barrel per day refinery and manage the development of Kabalega Industrial Park, and the National Pipeline Company Limited, NPC, in charge of pipelines, storage, and downstream business ventures. This subsidiary holds 15% interest in the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, ECOP. ECOP is a 1,445-kilometer long pipeline that will transport crude oil through 10 districts in Uganda to the port of Tanga in Tanzania. UNOC is also actively engaged in crude oil exploration, development, and production activities, and its participation role includes a 15% stake in the Tilenga, Nwoya, and Bulisa, and Kingfisher Development Projects, Chikure. UNOC also holds the exploration license for Kasuruban Block in Hoima, Bulisa, and Masindi. UNOC currently owns and manages the Ginger Storage Terminal and will build a 320 million litre capacity terminal in MPG called the Kampala Storage Terminal. At UNOC, we're harnessing the potential of Uganda's petroleum resources, forging a sustainable future and preserving the natural beauty of Uganda. UNOC, your partner in Uganda's oil and gas industry.
Amanya gange nze Namtebi Sharon nga nkolera wano wennyini Saka Kirombe oba Makindye. Empangula gye nawanguddemu ssente mbadde nga nkozesa mobile money nga nsindika school fees w'omwana ku ssomero. Okutegeera nti mpangudde, nze mutima neegambye nti kambalinde bamale okujja ndyoke nzikirize nti mpangudde. Kyennyinza okubagamba nti si byabafere, weewaawo abafere gye bali, naye ennamba eri emu yokka era bw'eba ekukubidde omanye eyo si yabafere. Mpulira bulungi nnyo era ndi musanyufu nnyo. MTN mobile money mbebaza nnyo, mwebale nnyo, mwebalire.
Together, we're unstoppable.
Once upon a time, there lived identical twins who gave birth to beautiful princes and princesses.
Their mothers gave their babies' bodies a lot of care by applying on their skin with baby Junior jelly.
Though dried their chariots and everyone would admire their glowing skin. Fun fact, baby Junior prevents diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Moms all over Africa love baby Junior jelly. Baby Junior's the skin. No more worries anymore. Boo, 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 boo. Baby Junior.
Baby Junior.
What is a dream? What does it mean to you? To her? To them? It's time we dare to dream anew. Dream bigger, better, bolder. Let's dare to dream of tomorrow, today, of someday, of the hope that comes with change, of a change that transforms lives. That glimmer in your eyes, the prospect of maybe, of all the hopes that we carry. It's the promise of enjoyments, co-enjoyments for you and your mates. A dream keeps us going. It's the one thing that drives us, inspires us, motivates us. One goal, one hope, one dream. With the Uganda National Lottery, your dream can become a reality. Bigger is here. What's your one thing?
Welcome back from that short break. As we move ahead, Minister of State for Energy Okasai Opolot has revealed that the first nuclear power plant will be constructed in Buyende district. This location was chosen for its granite bedrock accessibility to a clean and vast water supply for the cooling plant sparse population and the infertile land, which maximizes agricultural disruptions.
The Atomic Energy Council has interacted with district chairpersons in the central region on peaceful application of nuclear technology in their areas of operation. These leaders were informed about the mandate of the council and their role in supporting it to ensure radiation safety and security in facilities that use nuclear technology.
Of recent, we have not been bothered. We are just looking at developments in our communities. We just put in we see in a building, an X-ray has been installed, but now we need to know who has certified it, whether it has licenses, whether the people running it are professionals, whether it has protective gears to the patients and many other things.
The chairpersons are expected to ensure that facilities using nuclear technology comply with regulatory safety requirements.
That is, we expect them to go to medical facilities and the other industrial facilities that use nuclear techniques to check whether they meet the safety requirements. One of them, are they licensed? Are they using qualified operators?
While members expressed concern about limited access to these facilities, for monitoring and assessment, the Atomic Energy Council advised them to take appropriate steps for effective monitoring.
Let them liaise with the RDCs, the district chairpersons themselves, the GSOs, the security people to help them out, work out a modality.
Minister of State for Energy, Okasai Oplod, revealed that the government has trained over 30 Ugandans abroad in nuclear science as foundational staff for the country's nuclear program.
And they are diving deep into exploration and extraction of this nuclear material, fuel materials in the country. They are the ones who are reviewing the law now. They are being supported by International Atomic Energy Agency, and they are taking a step-by-step procedure, a phased approach to developing our nuclear program.
He also revealed that the Buyende district has been identified as the site for the first nuclear power plant, ensure the safe use of nuclear energy to transform the economy by producing adequate and clean energy without polluting the environment.
There are radioisotopes which are actually used for treatment of certain diseases. Would wish to develop those radioisotopes which are useful for medicinal purposes. It is also useful in development, especially research, analysis of minerals that we have. Many minerals now we are taking them out for studies. We would want to do them here.
The Atomic Energy Council engages with health experts, security agencies, district leaders, chief administrative officers, members of parliament, and journalists to promote nuclear applications, influence policy, and raise awareness. These efforts ensure the safe use of radioactive sources in medical settings and protect against theft and improper handling, promoting a supportive ecosystem for nuclear energy. Mutoni Helda and Rogers Komagum, UBC.
Minister of State for Energy and Mineral Development, Opolot Okasai, has updated the country about developments in the ministry. He says that they have amended the Electricity Act law, which has helped the ministry to change the goal of producing 15 megawatts to 50 to 400 megawatts by 2040. Well, we do apologize, but we will be bringing that story in our subsequent bulletin. Now, moving on to cabinet decisions, money lenders have been urged to with immediate effect to return national identity cards to the respective owners because it's unlawful for borrowers to hand in an ID or passport as collateral. This was during a media briefing by Minister for Information, Communication, Technology and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi at Uganda Media Center in Kampala.
While addressing the media, Minister Baryomunsi said it's unlawful for borrowers to hand in national identity cards as security to lend them money.
This was being carried out when the NRM party was registering its members and the other parties, where we would require people to show us their IDs and whether they have national IDs. In many situations, Ugandans were found to have deposited their IDs with the money lenders and the other. That going forward, it is unlawful, it is illegal, it is not acceptable to demand from the borrower his or her ID to use it as a collateral. And should we find anybody now demanding that I hand in my ID, then the law will take its course.
The Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act 2006 is set to be amended since principles of the Act were approved by Cabinet.
So we approved the principles, and now next the Minister will have to come back with the amendments, the proposed amendments in the form of a bill, and we consider them, and then thereafter we authorize him, the musicians, the comedians, the authors, architects, and many people who innovate and come up with their own scientific and artistic works. They would want to benefit from these works.
Meanwhile, Minister Baryomunsi clarified on social media claims that cabinet ministers were sanctioned to Chankwanzi for a retreat because of various corruption claims. He also gave a more elaborate scientific view of the president's speech on why Uganda has a population of 45.9 million and why women live longer than men, as per the preliminary findings of the 2024 housing population census.
The main reason for convening this retreat is not because of what is happening in the parliament or the debate on corruption. The main objective of this cabinet retreat is basically to discuss, because we are like at the mid-term, with this term, mid-term for this Sanja. So basically we are to discuss the performance of government, fertility, giving birth to children. The other one is death, if people die. The third is mobility, if people move in or move out. If they move in, the population increases. If they move out, the population decreases. Uganda is witnessing a demographic transition by having lowered fertility. For instance, if you look at the people who died during COVID, whether here in Uganda or globally, you will find more men or males died of COVID compared to women. Why? Because females have a hormone called estrogen. Now, estrogen has a protective effect on a chemical called interleukin-6. Now, that chemical which is produced in the body is the one which was triggering a process in the body that makes COVID kill you. Now, a hormone called estrogen, which is only in women, inhibits production of that chemical in women. So you'll find more males died of COVID compared to females.
Brian Tumwinebiarohanga, Paul Kawanguzi, UBC News.
Now, a civic education handbook for secondary school students has been launched to foster civic awareness and engagement among Ugandan youth. The executive director Sensitize Uganda, Crispin Motehibwa, said the handbook is designed for secondary school students in the country.
Sensitize Uganda, a non-governmental organization in partnership with the Human Rights Commission and Voice Uganda, has been instrumental in advancing civic education. They entered a memorandum of understanding with the Human Rights Commission to promote participatory democracy and good governance.
And therefore, as leaders, systematic and continuous civic education is a must. Civic education is more important than ever before in our society today. The basics of civic education help young people, especially the students, understand their rights, their responsibilities, as well as understand how they are supposed to relate as citizens, but also allows them to engage effectively in democratic processes.
The vision is to create an informed, coherent, and transformed Uganda. The organization focuses on areas such as civic and voter education, electoral governance, leadership involvement, accountability, and policy advocacy.
In 2026 general elections, Uganda anticipates to have over 5 million new voters. Of course, all these are first-time voters that need to be supported to understand how to participate in these processes. Now, majority of these first-time voters are in the secondary schools that we are talking about. They are in the universities of some of where our young people are coming from. Therefore, this means that as partners and government, we must be deliberate on reaching out to these young people.
The need for practical civic education in all educational institutions has been emphasized to bridge the gap of ignorance about civic engagement.
Because I think it will open a lot of valves in our brain. When I was introducing myself, I said, me, I'm an elephant. Because the brain alone is 58 kilograms. But I think if we all read this book, we will all become elephants, because it will open our brains, it will challenge us, but above all, I think it will shape the way us older people will engage with the young people, but also for the young people, it will prepare them to be better leaders tomorrow.
Uganda's predominantly young population represents a significant opportunity for national development if invested in appropriately.
Because you will notice our fathers had it in their education curriculum. They used to call it civics or something. But along the way, in the review of our curriculum, we lost it. We had something called political education, but it was quite not convincing. Then when we went into history, we started studying South African history, nationalism, and we started cramming a lot of theories, and most likely we left school without anything tangible to help us.
The launch of the Civic Education Handbook marks a significant step towards empowering Uganda's youth. It is under the theme, My Country, My Rights and My Responsibilities. Sodat Kaye and Faith Kayen, UBC News.
The Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda was established by the Government of Uganda with a mandate to pay depositors a protected limit of 10 million Uganda shillings in the event that their financial institution is closed by Bank of Uganda. Accordingly, depositors of the closed Mercantile Credit Bank Limited are hereby informed that DPF has commenced payment through mobile money to individual account holders whose account balances were 1 million Uganda shillings or less. Please note that to receive payment through mobile money, the name in your national identification card must perfectly match with that registered against your mobile money number. Payment of individual account holders whose deposits were above 1 million Uganda shillings but up to 10 million Uganda shillings who submitted accurate national identification numbers shall commence on Monday, the 1st of July 2024 and shall be made through Stanbic Bank Lugogo branch. Depositors should go to the bank after receipt of an SMS notification. Please present your valid original national ID to the bank. Company, joint and trust account holders are required to start submitting their details to the Deposit Protection Fund with effect from Monday, 8th July 2024 to allow verification before payment. Visit our website www.dpf.or.ug for more information about the requirements. Please note that payment of the protected deposits to all categories of depositors listed above shall be made less any outstanding loans or any other obligations to the bank. Payment of deposit amounts in excess of the protected limit of 10 million Uganda shillings shall be handled by Bank of Uganda in line with Section 105 of the Financial Institutions Act 2004 as amended. For any inquiries, please contact DPF on +256 312 206 400 or WhatsApp on 0709 015 012 or email info@dpf.or.ug.
Welcome back. It's time for us to look at what's happening in the world of business. Uganda's premiums contribution to the African Reinsurance Corporation over the last 4 to 5 years has increased by 350%. This was revealed at the 46th Annual General Meeting of Premier Reinsurance Company of Africa in Munyonyo.
Africa Reinsurance Corporation has got 42 member states, with each represented at the 46th Annual General Meeting, during which a call for the intensification of access to insurance services across Africa was made. Minister for Security, Major General Jim Muhwezi, who represented Prime Minister Robin Anabanja, urged member states to commit to developing the reinsurance sector of Africa.
We affirm our commitment to the vision and mission that unite us in advancing the reinsurance industry across the African continent. Over the years, the African Reinsurance Corporation has played a vital role in promoting economic stability, resilience, and growth within the insurance and reinsurance sectors across Africa.
There was a call for the reinvestment in the vast oil reserves available in the continent.
Insurance companies, those local insurance companies resident in Africa, do not have enough capacity to insure those products. For example, a dam like Karuma Dam, there's no single company here that can insure Karuma Dam. But they require reinsurance, further insurance. And that is what is being offered by Africa Re. That Africa Re is an organization created by the member states.
The Africa Re office in Uganda will continue to grow and support the local insurance industry with the ongoing investment in the Ugandan oil and gas sector. The corporation will make available its technical expertise and significant experience in the sector, including the management of African oil and energy board.
There is a need for insurance literacy and inclusivity amongst the population.
We have witnessed the giving hand of Africa Re through the Africa Foundation, where we received financial support, and most recently, towards the development of the insurance literacy and inclusion strategy, an industry initiative that will guide the dissemination of insurance information to the public with a single aim of demystifying insurance and breaking it down in ways that are easily understood by the majority of Ugandans.
As Africa's insurance sector continues to grow, there was a call for collaboration for sustainable growth of the sector. Mario Nawori and Rogers Komagum for UBC.
Now, Uganda National Bureau of Statistics, UBOS, has released the June 2024 Consumer Price Index report, citing a slight increase in the annual core inflation from 3.7% in May to 3.8% in June.
The main driver to annual core inflation is the annual other goods inflation that increased to 2.0% in June 2024 compared to 1.8% registered in the year ended May 2024. This was mainly due to tilapia fresh prices that increased by 8.7% in June 2024 compared to 3.8% registered in May 2024. Soap prices, this is the laundry soap, increased by minus 4.6% in June 2024 compared to minus 7.6% registered in May 2024. Services inflation, which is a component of core inflation, increased at a slower rate of 6.1% in June 2024 compared to 6.2% registered in May 2024. Majorly due to accommodation services inflation that increased at a slower rate of 4.4% in June 2024 compared to 7.2% registered in May 2024.
Timber also increased to 1.9% in the month of May 2024 compared to 1.6% increase that was registered for April 2024. We are seeing also steel bars increasing to 1.5% in the year that ended May 2024 compared to a 1.3% increase that was registered for the year that ended April 2024. It is also used as a deflator in the gross domestic product.
Hi, my name is Rachel Ndubuchiri and I am a Ugandan actress and the winner of the Africa Monologue Challenge 2023. Now, thanks to your immense support, the Africa Monologue Challenge Season 2 is coming to Uganda between July 25th and August 20th. Africa Monologue Challenge is looking for passionate Ugandan storytellers to take part in a Pan-African short film that will showcase Uganda to the rest of the world. To be a part of this, all you have to do is weave a captivating narrative that captures Uganda's cultural heritage while fostering connections between 10 diverse individuals from 10 African countries. This short film will be shared to over 50 film festivals. Now, to find information on the AMC 2024 finalists, visit www.africamonologue.com. Please submit your short script, which should be 10 pages for a short film between 10 to 15 minutes, to africamonologue@gmail.com before 30th June 2024. Now, let's talk about rewards. The selected script will have the writer's full name in the end credits. You will get a chance to collaborate with amazing filmmakers from all over the world. You will get a small token for your creativity, and you remain with full ownership of your script. Let's work together to create a Pan-African film that will echo African stories throughout the world.
Gold. We all want it. That soft yellow glow of a subdued sun in your hands. That precious polish of elegance. To hold it is one thing, but to taste it is everything else. Relish the satisfying taste of a beer, unmatched in quality, unmatched in consistency, And with 23 Global Gold Awards, a beer unmatched in gold.
Welcome back from that short break. Now, pupils of Kampala Junior Academy have benefited from a rare visit by a chess woman grandmaster, Katie.
Uganda is currently hosting a high-level FISU World University Mind Games Championship that has brought many high-profile guests. Among these is Georgia's chess woman grandmaster, Katie Sashalashavili. Katie has visited Kampala Junior Academy and engaged with chess players in pertinent moves.
I'm a professional chess player since I'm 8 years old, and I have been traveling around the world for all these years. And my message to the kids here in Uganda is to find what they love and achieve their goals. To have their goal is very important in sports. And I hope that many of the kids that I met today will get the inspiration and will do a hard work. Doesn't matter if it's a chess or any other sport or maybe mathematics. I wish them to have the opportunity like I had to travel around the world and to discover the other cultures as well.
She was accompanied by the International Chess Federation Secretary General.
It was amazing to see that over 60 kids participated in their class. They are having classes every week on different level, both as a chess in school, so developing their skills, but also some of them are competing on the national level, which is amazing, and I think also it's a motivation for all the others.
To the school, this is a monumental achievement that they believe will inspire the budding youngsters.
We think that this cooperation, this going outside our compound, our campus, and playing with other kids in other schools, other kids from other countries, other kids of different colors and different races, I think will also broaden the minds of these kids.
Kampala Junior Academy Chess Club has been in existence for just 4 years, but already produced players who acknowledge the role of the sport.
I like to play chess because it's a fun game to play and you can learn how to calculate more.
Other players that the school takes pride in include Latif Luanga, Bwanga Isaiah Elisha, Sidra Natkunda, and Sheri Chichoncho.
Well, that's it from us. Thank you so much for allowing us into your space. My name is Patricia Lukoma. Mugalu Mohammed has been with us on sign language. We hope to meet again at 10 o'clock. Stay with us.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Haji Farouk Chirunda, the Deputy Press Secretary to His Excellence, the President of the Republic of Uganda, with deep sorrow, announces the death of his dear wife, Mrs. Gladys Aliinza Mama Mandela, which occurred yesterday on 27th June 2024, following a fatal motor accident in Iluka district. There will be a church service this Saturday, 29th June 2024, at Chiyunga Archdeaconry Church in Iluka district at 10 a.m. Burial will take place on Sunday, June 30th, 2024 at Lambala Village, Irongo Sub-County, Luka District, starting at 11 a.m. Mourners using the Jinja-Kamuli Highway should branch off on their right, while those using Jinja-Iganga Highway should branch off on their left at Walugogo Valley near Iganga Town. Informed His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, all leaders, colleagues, relatives, friends, and in-laws. May her soul rest in eternal peace.